Wonderful. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we are recording. Let me press okay that I'm okay with that. Okay. Yes, I am. Okay. So before we get started, do I have your consent to record
Absolutely.
and share this
Yes.
content out? Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. So we're gonna jump in. We're gonna talk about productivity and all the things. I'm gonna do a brief introduction to you when we get started. I'm gonna
Okay.
ask you to share more about yourself. And then on a separate recording, I'm going to write up a little from what you gave me and introduce my listeners at the beginning. I'm not
Okay.
going to do that on while we're on right now.
Okay.
Okay. Deep breath and I'll get ready to start.
Okay.
Hey, 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 guys, your girl with you at the Live Like It Now podcast. I'm excited because in the studio today, we have my friend Tamara in the house today. Guys, she is passionate about empowering female entrepreneurs to harness their unique value, guys, enabling them to stand out in the marketplace, as to scale up and live impactful. Lord, guys, God, Lord Jesus, like I have a prayer in my heart. Okay, Lord Jesus, thank you so much for this. If we were really far in the podcast, I'd let them edit it out. Let's start over.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Um, hey, 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 guys, your girl with you today on the Live Like It Now podcast. I have an amazing and incredible guest in the house today. Her name is Tamara. Guys, I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself, but she is passionate about empowering female entrepreneurs to harness their unique value, enabling you guys to stand out, scale up, and live impactful lives through enhanced productivity to achieve your superior results, guys, elevating value and creating significant impact in the marketplace, guys. But I love on the podcast, we talk about leveling up in your life, your faith, and your business. We want to be impactful in all these areas. So today we're going to jump right in. And Tamara, welcome, welcome into the
Well,
studio today.
thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. I am so excited about our time together.
I am excited as well. So I'm going to give you a little chance, a little opportunity here just to introduce yourself, share with my listeners a little bit about you. You are a mom, a female entrepreneur, so I couldn't be more excited.
Awesome. So yes, I'm a mom. I am a mother of 12 children. So that is like my pride and joy. My family is so important to me. And also why I am so passionate about helping women who have families. And even though I know that we don't all have families as large as mine, certainly is so vitally important to the kingdom and I believe to entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so that's me. I'm a builder all the way around. I planted a church. It's been thriving for 12 years, thank God. And my family has multiple businesses with several different streams of revenue. So I'm just a kingdom entrepreneur at heart. I'm a builder. I'm always building something.
Wow, I love it. I couldn't be more excited for today's thing. Um, so let me just ask you a little bit of your backstory. So you have 12 kiddos. I have six. I don't know if you know that. So I made it halfway there.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I thought I had a big family. Um, so were you also being an entrepreneur while you were raising the kids?
So, my husband and I have always been entrepreneurial. I think even long before I actually started using that term,
Okay.
we were doing things like what thought we called our side hustles, right?
Sure.
And so well, my husband did. He raised dogs and bred them and, showed dogs, all of that kind of stuff. So I was involved in that from the sidelines.
Awesome.
I didn't really start really my personal entrepreneurial journey till probably about 17, 20 plus years ago. I started a goat soap business called Goat Simplicity.
Oh,
And it actually was for me a whole lot of the fuel for learning how to be productive as a wife. I was still doing a lot of things like, using my kitchen as my lab, and turning every shelf and all of
I
that
love
I
it.
had to cure my soap. So that was really for me the start of my entrepreneurial journey outside of just being, mom and taking care of the house
Right. Oh, I absolutely love it. Because, I was actually, I was dabbling in different pursuits, and my husband and I owned a business, so we were business owners. I
Yeah.
never even adopted the term entrepreneur until 2015, 2016. I'm
Yeah.
like, to be honest, my listeners might chuckle at this. I didn't even know what it meant. And so, and now I like throw it around everywhere. I love it. And my husband's like, can we just go back to business owner?
Yeah. It's kind of just like that thing of like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I think when you're creative people, it's just something you do and you don't
do.
really own a new title. It's just like, we just build
Right,
stuff. We just create
right.
stuff. We just
We
sell
do.
stuff.
I love it. And in the kingdom, guys, selling is serving.
Come
I love
on.
this. So today we're going to jump in about productivity. And that's what I'm really excited about because I know whether it's, a lot of my listeners are primarily moms, many of them doing either course creating or network marketing or just building their own thing alongside. And so I know the thing that we all seem to struggle with is productivity. Like there's a lot of things like we're hustling and hustling and hustling, but a lot of times they aren't really the income producing things. So we feel like we're busy in our business, but we're busy doing the things that actually isn't going to build generational legacy or generational wealth. And that's what I really want the listeners to get today is to, where to start, how to know they're working productively. So maybe the first thing I think what we'll do is why don't we first, before we talk about the productivity, which I'm super excited to learn from you today, but what about there's someone listening today and they didn't even really start yet. They just really feel like God has more for them, but they feel kind of paralyzed
Yep.
with how to start, where to start. Let's start there. What do you
Love
have
it.
to say on that? What can you offer the listeners?
I'm so glad that that's where you
Yeah.
started because that really is the start point.
Mhm.
I find that for a lot of times people are stuck in activity mode and they're not being productive
Mhm.
because their start was improper. And
Mm.
so, the Bible says that without a vision, people perish. One of the translations that I love is that without a clear vision, without prophetic insight, people dwell carelessly,
Mm.
which really means that you just become a wanderer. It's
Wow.
you're wandering in your decisions, wandering in your activities, wandering in your thoughts. We don't have a real thing that locates us or nails us down. And so I tell people that the very first thing that you have to do is you have to get a preview. You have to get sight and vision that you can run with because until you have clear vision, there's no real
Wow.
goals to set, there's no real objectives, your intentions are
Mhm.
fragmented. And so you become
Wow.
a double-minded person who has a really hard time being stable in anything.
Wow. Oh, this is so good. So how would they get started? So first of all, would they journal their vision? What are some good pointers? What have you found super helpful?
Absolutely. So I am an avid journaler and I
Oh,
am
love it.
really, really, really tough on people in our community about writing the vision. One,
Okay.
because I'm a person who truly believes that God meant what he said when he said it.
Mhm.
And we know that there's something that happens between the brain and the hand when you actually write things out. And so for a few reasons, I highly recommend you actually just journaling out.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we have to get really, really good at is taking time out for ourselves to be
Okay.
quiet.
Mhm.
And so when we're just in our quiet time, I highly recommend just writing it out, answering some simple questions like, who do I want to be
Mhm.
when I arrive in this place called there? Right.
Okay.
Another really good question to ask yourself is what do I want my life to look like? And what kind of a lifestyle do I want to live? And I think that when you can answer those questions really good, and I'm talking,
Mhm.
you know, Habakkuk tells us that, we write the vision to make it plain so that the one who reads it can run with it. So I
I
like to
love
tell
that.
people it's clear when you can read it, understand it, and know it at the pace of run. Like if I were to
Okay.
run
I love
past
that.
it, if I were to run past the neon sign, would I know exactly what it's saying to me? When it's that clear, then you can make your vision board. Then you can get
Mhm.
yourself some really good pictures, posters, whatever it is. You're ready to make a really good vision board. That's a great start.
Oh my. I'm already getting the shivers over here, guys. I'm like, yes. So you can see it while you run.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I love that. Um, that actually hit on one of my points. Maybe we can unpack this a little bit more, but how to become the
Mm,
she that I need to be
mm,
to successfully show up in my business. Because I know that I think it was a year and a half, I think it was about a year and a half ago, I was going to be going to a deeper level in business. I was actually going into an arena that I had never been in. And I
okay.
was like, okay, I know that everything I need is within me. And I
Yep.
literally sat down and wrote, who is the she? She's already in me, but that I need to be to carry this thing out. She's savvy in business, but she also gathers the knowledge that she needs, a specialized knowledge. Because I think sometimes we're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And God, God gave me a word and I can do it. But it's also being savvy in business. It's also gathering the specialized knowledge. So I did. I just had that, prep time with myself, wrote a big long sheet. It was literally on the front of a whole like notebook sheet of paper.
Yep.
And I put it right in my kitchen so I could see it and read it because I knew that she was inside me. So what about our listeners that are wondering, how to become the she that she needs to be?
So this is a really, really big question
Mhm.
that honestly demands an entire retreat weekend to
Wow.
unfold.
Okay, I love it.
So, so let's unfold it a
Mhm.
little bit. And I would say that it's a heavy hitter question because it's a little bit multi-layered. And
Okay.
one, I'm going to say to becoming the she means that I have done the work of getting a clear vision. Who do I want to be? I think
Mhm.
that sometimes either when we lose ourselves or when we feel a little stuck, you said it multiple times, like it's within me, but we
Mhm.
start to feel like, how can I reach her? Right?
Okay.
I've lost her. Like the she that I want to be is eluding me, but really she is there. And you just have to create her. You invent her. You own her right before at the start, before you even feel like her,
Mhm.
you own her, you adopt her. And so I like to say when you're journaling, the becoming looks like in order for me to be successful, I have to be successful. Right?
Oh,
Like in here, I've got to
okay.
be successful. In
Sure.
order for me to be fruitful on the outside, I've got to be fruitful on the inside. And so the way to
Mhm.
merge the two is that when you're writing your vision, when you're making it plain, when you're journaling, do a lot of self reflecting and a lot of
Mhm.
really good affirmations. I am she. I am the woman who's savvy in
Mhm.
business. I am the mom who has capacity to love my kids bigger than I ever thought I could, right?
Right.
You have to begin to own those things. And I think we own them by selling it to ourselves first.
Mhm.
And that doesn't happen overnight, right? Like you're
Mhm.
not going to wake up tomorrow morning and feel like I can conquer the world if I went to bed last night feeling like there's so much more that I need to adopt.
Right.
The other thing that if I can take just a second to
Sure.
dovetail off of that,
Mhm.
is I like to tell people that I believe that there's four real stages of becoming. And I kind of got this from God gave me this entire metaphor through the life of the transformation of the butterfly.
Mhm.
And you're first in that egg stage, which feels like I'm stuck. I'm
Mhm.
at the beginning.
Wow.
And the butterfly's mom leaves the egg in a place where she believes it is the most optimal opportunity for it to grow, which is amazing because I want to tell you that your father has given you the most optimal opportunity to grow. And sometimes we feel like I wasn't born in the right family. I wasn't set up with business. I wasn't,
Mhm.
all of that is irrelevant. At the end of
Right.
the day, you have what is within you to become, to achieve, and to soar to new heights. So you have to know that.
Mhm.
Two, she consumes and sheds.
Mhm.
She grows, she gains in knowledge. So I want to say when you're becoming,
So good.
get good information, get a good
Mhm.
coach, know what you don't know, and
Mhm.
gather what you need to know to grow. And then you have to be willing to be brave enough to evict everything that no longer serves you. The
Mhm.
caterpillar does literally nothing but grow and shed,
Mhm.
grow and shed, right? And so
Wow.
I say consume and shed. And when it comes to shedding, it's literally outgrowing the skin that I was
Mhm.
last season. It's so
Wow.
good because the very
Mhm.
skin that protected you, the very you that you were in the last season that held you together, that helped you know and identify who you were, is the very thing that you've got to shed. It's
Okay.
a real huge
Wow.
detailed thing because if you look at a caterpillar or a snake, right, let's think about a snake for a second. If they don't shed that
Mhm.
skin begins to infect them and can kill
Wow.
them. So I like to say, if you want to become, you've got to be willing to evict and to do the hard work of shedding the skin that you were, be shedding the old woman, the old girl
Mhm.
that you used to be, so that you can become. Lastly, quickly, is this still
Yes.
okay?
Yes. Oh,
Let-
it's talk as long as you want. This is so good. I'm just taking it all in.
the third stage of the metamorphosis of the butterfly, she goes inside of a cocoon. And this is the part that I absolutely love. Like when God showed this to me, it was a revelation that just rearranged the entire theological furniture in my mind. And it was like, OMG, right? So she goes into this cocoon, and inside the chrysalis, there's
Mhm.
nothing but her, right? And so sometimes in the darkest times, that feels like when I've lost myself the most, because you know what it looks like. Remember
Mhm.
that moment that you got all of this information and it was like, now it's time to implement,
Mhm.
but I don't even know where to begin. It's like, I've got all of this information, I've shed a whole lot of things, but you're in this place that you're all by yourself and it's just you. It's just you reflecting on who you are, who you're becoming, who God called you to be. And in this place, there are these juices, and it sounds so gross, but
Mhm.
they literally begin to digest itself. And
Mm.
for me, this was the moment that the scripture in Hebrews that says that everything that can be shaken will be shaken in your life.
Wow.
And when this happens, the digesting
Mhm.
reveals these things called imaginal discs inside
Mm.
of the caterpillar, which
Mhm.
literally reveals and exposes her image.
Wow.
Come on, this is so good,
This
right?
is so good.
It exposes her image, but it
Mhm.
has to almost erase. I want to use the word erase. It
Okay.
digests all of the stuff that
Mm.
covered up who she really was,
Mhm.
the process of being a caterpillar, the
Mhm.
egg, all of that, it melts all of that away,
Mm.
so that by the time she's ready to emerge as a butterfly, she looks completely different than who she was when she went inside that chrysalis. She has different information. I'm no longer crawling and shedding and consuming. All she knows is one thing, that it's time to soar. It's time to migrate. It's time to show up and present myself to the world. And as she emerges, you know the story. Like, she has to
Mhm.
go through the struggle in order
Right.
for her to be able to fly. If anyone helps this butterfly out of the chrysalis, she will never fly. And
Wow.
so I just want to tell you that everything that you're going through, the struggle to
Mhm.
become her, is by design.
Wow.
It is for the purpose of you to be able to soar to new heights, to new levels, so that you can mount up on wings and absolutely soar.
Mhm. This is powerful, guys. This is so powerful. So, what I'm thinking now is so on the Live Like Now podcast, what I try to make sure is that I'm very attentive to what questions the listeners might have. Because
Yeah.
I know I've sat in many a training or learning from many a person, but then I was like, yeah, this is great and I can do it.
Yeah.
But, and it's those but moments.
Mhm.
So we have this person and they're in that season. Um, Sometimes our family members
Mm.
and closest friends see the change.
Yes.
I feel like that's where a little bit more warfare comes when they
Mhm.
don't like the new you
Yeah.
because other people are content so often to stay where they are, and it makes them very and highly uncomfortable with the new you. Do you have anything to offer? Because I feel like that is the hardest thing that people do change, but they don't know what to do with that piece of it. They really don't want to rain war down on their family and their best friends.
Yeah. So this
Any
is so
thoughts?
good because I feel like this is the moment that so many people get left behind, right?
Okay,
This
right,
really is the separation, like it's the fork in the
right.
road to
Mhm.
whether or not you're going to be a real businesswoman, a real
Right.
entrepreneur,
Mhm.
real successful, or you've did all of this work for naught. And I know that that is not super inspiring, but that's the truth, right? Like the truth makes
Yes.
us free. And the
Mhm,
truth is the transformation in and of itself identifies who you were meant to be.
mhm,
And that identity also is separation.
mhm.
I always
Wow.
tell my people that revelation always brings separation. It's going to separate you from who you were, but it's also going to separate you from the tribes and the people that you used to be with. Your family loves you, so
Mhm.
they want to protect you from devastation and disappointment. You've got to be
Mm,
strong enough at this point to find the new circles. Like a
okay.
butterfly no longer hangs out with caterpillars.
Mm. Oh,
She
that's great.
migrates with
Sure.
other butterflies, and she's never worried about them being prettier than her, more colorful than her.
Mhm,
She knows she belongs.
mhm,
Eagles soar with eagles, right? So the
mhm,
moment that you recognize I've separated from where I
mhm.
was, that's evidence of the fact that you
Wow.
have absolutely become
Mhm.
her.
Wow.
Right? Like it's the
Right.
blessing and the curse. In order
That's
for
true.
me to own the woman that I've
Sure.
just become means that I have to be willing to abandon who I was.
Wow, oh my, that is so good. Guys, I hope you are getting this. It is so great. I would encourage you to replay the podcast. This is so good. I can't even take notes fast enough. I'm like trying to jot some notes down real quick. I intend to listen to the podcast over and over again. Guys, I hope that answers some of y'all's questions because being in the female entrepreneur space, it is really hard. And I know that's one of the hardest things. It seems like the hardest thing is to believe in ourselves.
Yeah.
And the second hardest thing is when our family members don't believe in us or we put in the work. And
Yeah.
I'm reminded over and over again that even Jesus sometimes could not reach his town or his people. And so to stay forward focused, God's put something more inside of you. He's given you the ability to create legacy for your
Yeah.
family and you're putting in the hard work. Um, Thank you so much. So I want to jump over and say so there let's see. How do they know the productive work? And I know we touched on it a little bit, but versus the hustle.
Yes.
So what really propels their life forward?
Right. What separates activity from productivity?
Yes. And is
And
that where the vision comes in at?
absolutely.
Okay.
So this is where you've got to do a little bit of work from the vision. So
Okay.
what I usually take my clients through is that this is what happens once you have clear vision.
Okay.
We define what we call power moves. And they simply are moves that are potent enough, strong enough to move the needle forward.
Okay.
I like to tell you that there's times in my life that I know when I'm getting stuck in activity is when
Okay.
I'm in the dashboard. Right?
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
you know what it's like when you go on your site, your website, or whatever
Mhm.
it is, you're just doing a whole lot of background work. You're
Okay.
going through, sifting through emails. You're doing all of these
Mhm.
things that you know you should not be doing. So I
Okay.
like to say, if it's vision worthy, it's worth
Okay.
your time. And
Sure.
that means that it has the ability to move the needle forward in your life. That when you've
Mhm.
gone, you left the office, whether it's at home or separately, when you've worked and you walk away from that work and you know, I've progressed. What I've
Mhm.
worked on has the ability to catapult me, to change the trajectory of the next week, the day, the month. You know, you've been productive.
I absolutely love that. Because I've noticed it in my own life. And guys, I feel like if you learn from we learn so much in hindsight. So
Yeah.
if you learn from what you've learned in hindsight,
Yes.
so as a young entrepreneur and growing and through the years, I learned to know when I went to bed that night, when I laid my head on the pillow, I knew what was productive that day
Yes.
versus the day before when I was really busy, but it was unproductive. And I never heard anyone explain it quite like that, but how you just explained it. So I love that. But you want to do those things that for sure is moving the needle forward. And
Yes.
I'll tell you what, oftentimes in our businesses, the things that do not move the needle forward, I mean, it's necessary and it has a place, but it's not necessarily moving the needle forward. That's always going to be like the easiest thing to reach for. But it's the things that's actually going to propel us forward, like narrowing down like who your who is and answering
Yes.
those specific questions.
Yep.
Sometimes it's like, no, I'd rather just go like create a fun graphic.
Yes.
But it's literally for real answering those tough questions to
Yep.
find your people And
Yep.
those are the things that we run from because it's like it really takes introspection. It really takes answering the tough stuff. So I really love that, Tamara. Any more on that?
So I would say that it is the double-edged sword
Okay,
because
sure.
um and we all go through that season where we feel like we've gone to the end of the day and there's more task than time. Like I
Mm-hmm.
still have 18 things on my to-do list,
Right.
and I don't have the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start rolling through that perpetually, you've gotten stuck in a cycle.
Okay,
But it is a
sure.
double-edged sword because busy work makes us feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It makes us feel like I've been productive. It makes me feel like I'm still moving, but I'm on a treadmill versus gaining
Mm-hmm.
territory. We
Right.
want to be productive means that I'm gaining territory. I am
Oh, I love
knocking
that.
down, my power moves are knocking down dominoes, creating a domino effect of
Mm-hmm.
activities that are catapulting me and my business into another dimension.
Oh my. How did you say that? I absolutely love it. So about being productive, but are we gaining territory? Like I'm going to replay and catch that.
Yes.
Um, that is what I absolutely love. And so I'm just touching some questions real quick, guys, here. So I also have a group. So those of y'all listening, and you can hop in that group and get your own questions. And I would ask tomorrow if I had your question. Um, the other one is, and it is still with productivity, but it's overcoming the procrastination so I can show up productively. And
Mhm.
I don't know, but as a mom, it is very easy to procrastinate because we've got all the things to do. And it's very easy to when you're working from home, especially. A lot of the moms on here work from home. So it's very easy to procrastinate and we can actually cloak it behind really good things that we need to do. And at the same time, I'm all about working from a place of balance. So if you want to talk about some of that, that would be great. Because I know you have some leaders in industries, since a lot of these moms are from the network marketing industry, they have uplines saying, sacrifice the laundry, sacrifice all the things to show up for your business, which I do not agree with.
Mhm.
Um, I instead like to, and because I lost all my balance, I've came back with balance. And
Yeah.
I like to use the power of time blocking.
Yes.
And so it's more like, what should I be doing right now? This is a time to work, so I'm going to work. This is a time I'm cooking dinner, so I'm going to cook dinner. So I time block.
Mhm.
And so any thoughts on that? Just some practical thoughts on, they can easily fall into procrastination.
So good. So you
Okay.
actually pulled like three nuggets out of there. You have
Okay.
to diagnose whether or not you're truly procrastinating or distracted.
Okay.
Okay. So sometimes activity is really I'm distracted
Hmm.
because um I haven't really diagnosed what really is productive work
Okay.
versus activity. So that's it. You might need to diagnose some power moves if you're just active versus productive.
Okay.
If it's true procrastination, it's born out of a lack of confidence, right? So I tell
So good.
people to build confidence, you have to start. Confidence comes out of being competent.
Mhm.
So when I'm competent, I'm confident. Very
Right.
few
Okay.
people are confident when they're incompetent. That's a whole other issue.
Other one.
Confidence is born out of being competent.
Okay.
And in order to become competent, you have to be consistent.
Mhm.
And you're consistent when you are absolutely convinced.
Mhm.
So put it this way. We
Okay.
procrastinate because there's something else going down at the root of it, right?
Sure.
If you knew that this thing that I had to do is going to generate $1 million next
Mhm.
month,
Mhm.
you're not going to procrastinate.
Right.
You're procrastinating because there's something at the root of it that you're not convinced about. And
Okay.
so I like to tell people when you're procrastinating, it could be because it's a habit that you have to put things off,
Mhm.
and that's kind of like your work style. Some
Sure.
people perform best, they show up best at the last minute.
Okay.
Now, I would still say it's a habit you need to break because
Mhm.
if you're showing up at the last minute and you're knocking it out of the ballpark, imagine who you would be if you
Oh,
gave that a
wow.
little bit more time.
So true. Oh, wow. I love that.
Come on, imagine
Mhm.
what that would have turned out
Mhm.
like had you given it more time. So I just say procrastination can be something that you need to do some more self-reflection on, because it could be born out of a lack of being convinced, right? Knowing that this thing that I have to do is the key to my next territory, is the key to my
Sure.
next dimension, is it really the key to my next level of income?
Okay. Sure. I really love that. That led me to think, guys, that so a lot of our journeys we learn, we just follow, like I always call it, and I think I got this from Pedro Adeo, but I don't know if it originated with him. But in my life, in the last number of at least 5 years as an entrepreneur, because I wish I knew this stuff back in 2015, which I did not. I learned a lot of things the hard way, but I'm so much better and stronger today because of it. But following the breadcrumbs. So
Mhm,
some of you today, you really just didn't know where to start,
mhm,
or you've started and you just didn't know how to do this. You're going to take some of the things today and literally follow that. So now you learned, okay, let me journal it. Guys,
mhm.
listen, don't get off this podcast and it was just another good thing you heard. Like, seriously, go grab that warm cup of coffee. Go
Yes.
sit first and go get the vision. Be clear on the vision, because I have really been diving into identity lately.
Mm,
When you are confident because you are sure who God calls you, I mean, guys, that literally gave me a level of confidence that I actually really need right now in my business. But knowing who God says I am, and guys, we get this stuff in the quiet. I love how Tamara really stressed the quiet time. Tamara, I don't know if you know this, but I'm huge on quiet time. So we've had the quiet time and journaling from Jesus challenge. So I was really like, I loved the gift of that you brought to the podcast, because it's just more like, guys, let that take
affirmation.
root into your heart.
Mhm.
Journal, get the vision, write it in big block letters that you can see it while you run. And I love how Tamara said that that is actually making the vision clear, that
Yeah.
you actually can see it while you run. So you want to get that down pat. So in the podcast now, maybe that's some of y'all's takeaway.
Mhm.
So anyway, what else do you have, Tamara? Maybe you just have, I have an area I want to dive into, but not yet. I want to see, like, you're going somewhere with this. Go ahead, and maybe there's just things you want to drop here that I don't even have in the questions. Like, go
So,
for it.
if we can just kind of maybe go back
Yeah.
and touch on the whole, you brought up the issue of, stop doing laundry, all of these things, and
Right.
issue of procrastination and confidence.
Sure.
And if we can just touch back there,
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of brilliance in knowing for sure who you are and what your style of entrepreneurship is, because some people are just so driven that they're willing to abandon a lot of things in life that other women may not be willing to
Okay.
abandon. And so
Sure.
I always say to people, this is where you get the opportunity to have agency over how you proceed.
Wow, I
And
love
God
that.
created each and every one of us so completely different.
Mhm.
But David said, "This one thing I desire, and that I do seek." Paul said, "Forgetting all the things that that I need to put behind me, and I press forward for this one thing." Right? And I think that there's a brilliance in us becoming so focused on what
Mhm.
is your one thing that I'm willing to sacrifice these other things.
Okay.
Sacrifice really is letting go of something of a lower nature for
Mhm.
something of a higher nature. So
Wow.
for me, there are seasons of my life that
Mhm.
I take laundry off the table.
Mhm. Mhm.
There are seasons of my life that I take a lot of things off the table. One of the keys in my Busy Girl's Guide to Success book that I have is called the Dia key, that
Okay.
you really, two of those things are in there, that you eliminate some things and you delegate some things.
Okay. I
And
love it.
so I know that you
Mhm.
mentioned that, and I think it's so good because
Mhm.
we don't want to abandon everything.
No.
Like, you still want to be a present mom at home. You still
Right.
want to be a wife that is responsive and engaged. But at the very same time, if you
Mhm.
know that you want to build wealth, that you want to build financial legacy, that you want compounding wealth and prosperity in your home
Mhm.
and for your family, if you want
Mhm.
that to be the story for you, for your children and your children's children, then that
Mhm.
means that you do have to get really, really sure on what
Right.
my identity as an entrepreneur is going to be, which can sometimes be I want to say a little bit sidestep
Sure.
of my identity as a daughter of the king,
Mhm.
right? It's how I'm going to show up in business means that I'm going to be able to look at some one thing things like this is the what I can
Mhm.
do. The
Right.
one thing that only I can do. And everything else in that season might have to fall by the wayside for a season.
Right.
Then come back on around and do the laundry. Then come back
Yes.
around and be the
And
gardener.
and I love how you said about the delegation. So that is key here too, guys, because there are things that when you realize the value. So I'm actually glad that we're back over here a little bit.
Yes.
So there are things that when you put the value on yourself and
Yes.
what you're able to bring into your business, can you, because of what you can bring into your business, delegate or have the groceries brought in or something like that? Because I have been loving to order my groceries.
Yes.
So that is not to minimize delegation in any way. So let me bring some clarity. But to the uplines that I said,
Yes.
let the laundry grow, there was nothing on delegation. And so that was actually really important that we touched on that
Yes.
because I actually recently listen to an entrepreneur that it's a husband and wife team growing in their business. And one of the key things that they do instead of them getting a virtual assistant to do the number, a couple of their things, they actually don't start, and they didn't at least, in the way of a virtual assistant. They began to have things within their home taken out by someone else. So,
Okay.
like, the cooking, the
Yeah.
cleaning, and
Yeah.
that was just another whole way because they kept themselves in the business. So, I think it's just really what works for you.
Yeah.
Because like me, I'd probably rather actually a VA do some things than someone come in and clean my house or something like that. So I think it's really and I love that, Tamara said that because we are all different. My
Yeah.
son's like, Mom, there's no way you can work with balance because he's an entrepreneur too. He's like, balance doesn't even in the equation. But see, I'm coming from a breakthrough that I lost my balance.
Yeah.
And in 5 years, when everything that you built is
Oh,
like crumbled at your feet, and my listeners know this, but I cried for 48 hours and 2 days. So when I got back up, there was a lioness roar within me that
mm,
personally I will come back with balance
yeah.
and I will become great friends with time blocking.
Come
And
on.
that has served me well. And so that's going to look different for each one of you. And that's why you have people like Tamara that is willing to hold your hand and
Yeah.
help you know what is the most productive and how that's going to play out. Any thoughts on that? And then I'm going to go just a little bit somewhere else.
So this is so good. And
It
I don't
is
want
so
to hold
good.
your time, so I'm gonna let you take me where you want to go. But
Okay.
you
Yeah. So this is what I wanted to touch on. There is past seasons where we've walked through hurt.
mm,
We've walked through even things not working out in life. And
mhm,
I not only I would say, okay, your girl will always show up with you guys
mhm,
and say, this is like, I always will show up transparent. But I don't think this is something I've had a huge issue with personally, but I know it's a huge issue. And so I'm going to go there, guys. I went there on a podcast with you before. I think we had the perfect guest in the house to bring some fresh light to it. And I love we all bring stuff from a little different angle,
mhm,
but we went through hurt or we've made some poor decisions, but we have a reason to say it was someone else's fault.
mhm,
Someone else. And I feel like, so we give the blame that our life today is what it is because of someone else.
mhm,
And as your girl, I feel very personal about it that you are giving your power away when you give the credit to someone else, that your life is where it is today. If you keep it in your court, own your stuff, guys, own it. When I walked through a betrayal, and it actually wasn't my thing, but you know what? I found something within the situation to own. If not, I would leave my power in the court there, in
mhm,
their court. But I was
mhm,
like, maybe I should have been wiser.
mhm.
Maybe I should have seen it coming. Guys, I find something to own about a situation. So in becoming the she that I need to be, I will always own my stuff. And that's what I want you guys to get today, to own your stuff. Guys, you keep the power to change your life in your own court
Oh, good.
rather than give it away. If you, and then I'm gonna have Tamara join in here, but if you own your stuff, Own something about it. You have the power to propel your life forward. There was a season in my life that I really literally felt like the devil had me on the ground, kicking me.
Mhm.
Guys, I was scared that what if in life something else would happen that would get me on the ground like that? It wasn't until some time passed that God gave me a word and said, "You know what? You were actually never on the ground. I always had you in my embrace." So here's the thing, guys, when we think things are beyond our control or things where someone else's fault, we don't go forward with full like that run vision. We don't run as fast because we're like, there might be something that's gonna set my thing down the road and I'm not gonna be able to help it. Is there any clarity you can bring on that tomorrow?
Oof. You just keep
So
opening Pandora's boxes.
I
And
know I feel like that with you. I'm not even getting my questions out because like we're covering so much.
oh my gosh, it's such a big thing, So, yeah, we have to own our own stuff.
Mhm.
There's there's a level of safety that we've derived from passing the buck, right? Like we see with
Right.
Adam and Eve, that was the first thing they did. Like
Mhm.
it was the woman you gave me. Eve was like, it was the serpent. And so we derive a sense of fulfillment. It's false fulfillment. It's
Mhm.
an anti-God fulfillment from being able to shift the blame and the focus to somebody else. And it's so devastating because every time we do that, it locks the prison door just a little bit
Mhm.
tighter.
Wow.
And
Mhm.
so the thing that enters into freedom for us is that we have the ability, I've got to plug my computer in, is that we
Okay.
have the ability to own where we're at and have the ability to step into an arena where we say, God, by the grace of God, if
Mhm.
you're real, because we know that He is, that you
Mhm.
will give me the power. You've already given me the power because He said, I've given you everything pertaining to life and godliness.
Mhm.
That means that He gave us everything that we need to do life in abundance.
Love it.
Come on, and to have
I love
a
it.
relationship with Him,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
you have what you need. You just have to grab hold of it and be determined enough to make some decisions to decide your way out of the stress and the chaos
Mhm.
that you're in right now. Own it because
Mhm.
that's where freedom is at.
I love it.
You just
Wow,
claim.
guys. Guys, I hope you're getting this. Rewind the podcast. Like I don't even tell you every podcast to rewind the podcast and get what and get this stuff in deep. Um, so in becoming the she that I need to be, I love how Tamara just brought some practical things of writing it down and getting clear of who we need to be, getting clear on the vision. I feel like maybe the order of things is get clear on the vision,
Yeah.
write it down, and began to work on those things. And Tamara or Tamara, how did you say that? And I was trying to jot that down. Let me find my notes here. But who do I want to be? She asked three questions. Who do I want to be?
Yeah.
And there was something about becoming. And then what is the life that I want to create? I loved those three questions that you asked.
So, yes, the lifestyle.
Okay.
What do I want my lifestyle to look like? Because I a couple of things with that. I think that we
Sure.
sometimes, in the mix of writing the vision, we just see the big picture, right? Like I need more money, we need a bigger home, all of these things,
Sure.
wealth for my family. But you don't really map out and get a clear vision on what do I want my lifestyle to look like? Do you
Okay.
want to be, um, stuck in the office 8 to 5 every day? Do
Okay.
you want to have a work from anywhere? The lifestyle is
Mhm.
so important. A trip a year, 3 vacations a year, whatever that looks like. So work through what do you want your lifestyle to
Mhm.
look like?
Mhm.
Then who am I? Right? We are talking about becoming, right? Give me that question again.
Oh, yes. So I love the 3 questions that
Yes,
you usually walk them through, like, who do I need so it was because it had jogged my memory of who do I
yes,
need to be in this season. So it was with your becoming, like,
yes,
who we need to be to do this thing, the
yes.
life that we want, and for some reason, I don't know what the 3rd one was.
So who do we need to be? Who do I need to become? What do I want my life to look like?
Okay.
And I believe it was the lifestyle question.
Yes, okay, it was the lifestyle question.
What do I want my lifestyle to be like?
Okay.
And it's so vitally important. It might seem like redundant to ask
Mhm.
about what I want my life and then my
Right.
lifestyle, but it truly isn't because I have found that so many of people in my arena I go in and I'm helping CEOs and different people
Mhm.
and individuals as well, that
Sure.
here's where the compromise is.
Okay.
That like you earlier, when you mentioned the issue of like I lost myself and all of the crazy, right? Like building the business, but maybe home fell apart. You didn't
Mm.
like give the details on what it was,
Right.
but you alluded to the fact that life got out of balance.
Right.
And I believe that life gets out of balance because we don't have the vision clear on the life style. Kingdom
Right.
people live a different lifestyle. We can be
Right.
builders, but at the same time, we're maintaining a family. I believe that that is what separates us
Oh,
from
so good.
just world people that are building businesses, that we have the ability to leverage our prayer life,
Mhm.
leverage that we have a God who helps us have balance. I like to use the word harmony
Oh, okay.
versus balance.
Explain that. I would love for you to explain that right now.
Because so balance says to me that
Okay.
we have the scales, the perfect
Okay.
scale,
Sure.
right?
Mhm.
And so I think that when we ascribe to balance, we're trying to keep the scale even,
Okay.
even amounts of time in business, even amounts of time at home. And I'm not sure that that in every season is possible. It's like
Right.
when you're doing a DIY, did I say
Mhm.
that right? Project at home.
Right. Indeed.
We put a few things aside in order to
Mhm.
finish a new room or a painting job. And I like to say harmony looks like this, that there's times that you're singing solo. So you
Mhm.
might just be all in on a work project. Schedule that
Mhm.
out. You mentioned the time blocking. Schedule that out. I like to call it hibernating. Lock
Mm.
yourself in a room. Go away for a retreat. Go away for a weekend and
Mhm.
just pour yourself into that project. But then
Okay.
come out of it. And that's where the
Mhm.
harmony comes in. You're entering the different voices, the other
Okay.
objects, the other things that have to happen, home life. But I'm not sure that any of us are capable of balance. I think only
Right.
Jesus could do that, right? Like
Right.
he could preach for 15 hours and then
Mhm.
say, let's feed them all at a drop of a dime, right? I'm not sure that we're capable of
Okay. That is
balance.
so good. Okay, that is so good. So another thing that I had thought about earlier, and now I just re-jogged my memory. And this was that while we're creating our fuller future, I like to call it creating our fullest future.
Yeah,
Um, we are living life now. So life is happening right now. And so
yeah,
this whole thing of the future that we're creating. So for example, like this is how I look at my own personal stuff in business, that what is the life that I want? I'm designing my whole life. And I think this is where your lifestyle is coming in, but I'm designing my whole life. So what do I want my life to look like? This is what an ideal life would look like to me. The vacation and the business, and I do tend to say the word balance, vacation, business,
okay.
and for myself, I'll graduate to harmony. So in my kind of thinking, it's this is what I want my life to look like.
Yeah.
And so when I'm working now, guys, I that's why I time block, because I don't want to be 5 more years down the road. My children are 5 years older, and I didn't, and I all I look back and have regrets. Yes, maybe I'm leaving them legacy and financial wealth, but I pushed business so hard that I didn't make those memories. So maybe it's just, guys, because I really did, and I think we have to, like, pause here and realize we're all different personalities.
Yep.
So my personality is a very sensitive personality. So
Yeah.
when I had the business fallout, all I
Mm,
could think is like, "Oh, there went 5 years of my motherhood." And it wasn't that I wasn't a good mother those 5 years, but I just pushed so hard.
mm,
And I think with everything, whether it's people investing in themselves, investing in real estate, investing in whatever, and the thing when we're doing those push moments, so we're really investing into our business, those
yeah.
push moments, you've got to count the cost on what the return's gonna be.
Yes.
So I think because I had lack of training, just
Mhm.
kinda jumped into this entrepreneurial world, the
Yeah.
5 years of pushing and losing all my balance didn't seem worth it,
Mhm.
until I realized I had gained a lot. And I know a lot of y'all moms are listening in today, and I just feel kinda certain that a lot of you were in the MLM space, and I'm just actually gonna just say the MLM space. You
Yeah.
were promised the lifestyle, and you were promised the financial future, but you weren't given tools and strategies of actual business to
Yes.
get you there. And I get it because I was one of y'all.
Mhm.
Um, and so today, even like Tamara, she's not running things through the filter of MLM. So
Mhm.
if you are in the MLM space, I am going to tell you to use caution
Yes.
and work from a place, write the vision out and work from that place of harmony, or
Yeah.
as your girl says, balance, but
Yes.
because really just also make sure you have the tools
Yeah.
because no business is actually going to grow without the tools.
I-
And so I probably actually should clarify that the tools are just so necessary. And we can work and we can push, but if we're pushing with the wrong stuff, and that's where I think that's why I'm so sensitive to balance. That's
Yeah.
why I'm so sensitive because of the industry that I had gotten most of my earlier entrepreneur experience from. And so I
Yeah.
feel like my listeners do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good.
Yeah,
Listen, you know your sheep, you know your followers, you know what the
right.
people need. And so one of the things that we teach in our neck of the woods is that
Okay.
you need an A team
Mhm.
to build your A frame so
I
that
love
you
that.
can show up at your A game,
Oh, I love that. You want to
right?
repeat that again?
You need an A team to build your A frame so that you can show up at your A game. And
Great.
so a lot of times we're really, really good at diagnosing what my A game looks like, or what my you showing up looks like, right? At my
Sure.
apex self, the apex
Hmm.
version of me. And a lot of time that is reduced to winning in the MLM space, right? Like I've got my downline, my upline, I've got the
Hmm.
money flowing in, all of that. But here's
Hmm.
the deal. When the A frame is that vision, right?
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
vision that you have for total life. Because I
Hmm.
believe that God's people have to build holistically, that
Hmm.
we are not, lopsided people, that we're building business, but we've abandoned our children and husband.
Right. Hmm.
And so building your A frame, building that vision, get your team. And
Hmm.
your team is, you have your professional team, they
Hmm.
might be your virtual assistant, you might need
Hmm.
a housekeeper,
Hmm.
somebody maybe to tutor, homeschool help, whatever that looks like for you.
Hmm.
The other thing is then you have the professional, the people that are a little bit closer to you, your friends, your coach,
Hmm.
your pastor. You need the people that you need in your life to help
Hmm.
you build.
Hmm.
And some of those are tools, apps,
Right.
virtual, that you need tools. There's so many different tools that we need to help us, but leverage our
Hmm.
success. But remember, at the end of the day, busy is an acronym for us, that we build unfettered success your way.
I love
You
that.
have to
Yeah.
learn that you are the architect of destiny, that God
Hmm.
has invested and entrusted in you and I to
Hmm.
build this thing with Him productively in the earth.
Wow, that is so good. And that is bringing us to a close here. And I think that actually sound like a very good summarize of this whole podcast tomorrow. Do you have any closing thoughts whatsoever? So we've got new ones just starting out, and we've got some that are still trying to figure out um, their how to get started, how to stay started, and how to stay motivated. They need to get their vision intact, and I think many of them's going to be, jotting that down. The
Yeah.
Habakkuk 2:2, love
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Do you have any closing remarks or just any kind of words, action steps for our listeners before we close out here?
So I would just say, that there's been a lot of information and we're all really, really good at receiving information. The one thing that I would challenge us to do is to be a doer.
Mm.
Listen, even imperfect action
Yes.
can result in success,
Mhm.
but take action. Move on the
Mhm.
vision, get yourself in quiet spaces, get a cup of coffee, get
Mhm.
yourself a notebook. Um, in my code, I have a code, a Busy Girls code that we use, that we give people guided questions,
Wonderful.
but it can just be a pen and a paper. Get
Right.
clear on your vision.
Sure.
Know who it is that you want to be, because you'll never know that you've arrived if you don't know what arriving looks like. And so I want
So,
to say that wherever you are as a hearer today, if you're just starting out, if you've made some mistakes, if you feel like the vision eluded you because you never took the time to start there,
mhm.
start today. Start today. Just start right where you are. Take a few minutes, schedule it. You might, sometimes it's fun.
Mhm.
I I do this for myself often, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a vision weekend,
I
and
love
you
it.
just get alone with God.
Sure.
and he will begin to pour in you. God said to Jeremiah, "What do you see?" Because he was trying to get Jeremiah to come into his sight to see what he sees.
Mm.
And then he corrected his vision. Jeremiah was like, "I see men walking as trees." And God's like, "Yeah, let's fix that focus, right?" And so it is so good. God will help you. He will fix your focus. He will fix your vision, and you can start today. Wherever you are, just start.
I love it. Okay, guys, so we are going to list Tamara's resources down in the link below. She's got, what all do you have? You've got the Busy Girl's Guide to Productivity. I think you might have actually wrote a book as well. So can you just before and wrap up here because for some reason, guys, let me just let you in on the behind the scenes. We just show up. We had quite a bit of technical difficulties to show up today.
Woo!
Normally, I would want to hit the resources earlier. Tamara, can you just share with my listeners a little bit of your resources? We're going to list it all down below. You'll want to go ahead and check that out.
Absolutely. So I have two books called Staying Woman. One of them is Staying Woman Life by Design. The other is Staying Woman Promises to Me, which both of them I highly recommend for
Okay.
people who feel stuck.
Okay.
And then I have a book called The Busy Girl's Guide to Success. It is the guide that is going to give you tips, um, motivation, inspiration on being productive for the kingdom, moving your family from one place to the next. And then the Busy Girls Code, which is that journal, that planner, that space for you to sit down and script in every season. It gives you 4 seasons. It's amazing. Even if I didn't do it, I would highly recommend it because
Okay.
I'm an avid journaler and I always recommend journaling.
Okay. Oh, well, there you go, guys. You've heard it today on the Live Like It Now podcast.
Yes.
Cut. Okay. I don't know about you, my friend, and you can stop the recording. I felt slightly scattered.
I